Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll be comparing the winning MS200 Pro Fight Gloves with the Asami Pro Boxing Gloves. So check it out. Alright guys, so today I'll be doing a comparison between the winning MS200 8-ounce lace-up Pro Fight Gloves with the Asami 8-ounce lace-up Pro Boxing Gloves. After I do a close-up between the two and show you guys all the small details, I will show you guys how these gloves fit on me and then give you guys my feedback and thoughts on how they feel, the similarities and the differences between the two gloves. Now, one thing I did want to mention is that the winnings are a brand new pair, dead stock. I've never used these. The Asamis I actually got secondhand. They're gently used. I actually purchased these on eBay. They're in perfect condition. The only thing is the left glove. The previous owner decided to switch the left glove laces out to these flat laces. The OEM laces that come with the Asami gloves are very similar to the winnings, where they're round, a cotton round lace. The only difference with the Asamis is that they actually have a plastic tip at the end on the Asamis, where winnings, authentic winnings, will always come with round laces but with cut tips at the end. So something I figured it was worth mentioning. I just wanted to let you guys know. But you know, both gloves are in excellent condition. Obviously the winnings have to be because they're brand new, but the Asamis are in great shape and are really a perfect way to kind of compare the two models. And everybody knows about winnings. There's really nothing to be said about that. But the Asami Pro Boxing Gloves, there's not a lot of information out there about these gloves. They're somewhat of an enigma. So that's the reason why I wanted to compare the two. And then from there, you guys can decide which glove may be right for you, the Asami or the winning, or maybe you guys end up getting both. So first things first, both gloves are manufactured in Japan. Both use genuine leather. In fact, the leather on the Asamis is very similar to what you would see with the winnings. It has kind of a little bit of a texture and grain to it, just like the winnings do. I'll try to see if I can capture it the best I could in this video, but both feel very similar, kind of have a soft, supple feel with the leather texture on there. You'll notice that in terms of sizing, they're almost identical. You can see even the flat wrist support on the back, height-wise, is pretty much the same, and even the width of the wrist support is about the same. Obviously the difference is going to be the winning has their kind of their soft rubberized patch, where Asami just uses a standard cloth patch, deal a knockout blow boxer, and has 8 ounces right there at the bottom. So there is going to be small differences. Obviously they're different brands, but you can see that they're kind of like cousins of each other in terms of the style of glove, and even the height and the width of the gloves are very similar side to side. Asami just says boxer, deal a knockout blow, has their logo. Winning, official, nothing crazy there. Now you can see the stitching on here. Winning has always been known for their awesome stitching. They use a wider stitch pattern and have also always had very beautiful stitching. The Asamis, a little bit closer in terms of stitching on that wrist, but again, really a nice quality stitching on both gloves. Now coming over to the palm side, the Asamis has a little triangle, just says Guts to Fight, made in Japan. You'll notice that both have white piping around the thumb. I'll put this one on its side. And here you could just see again, from that top down view, how similar the shape of the thumb and how it extends out between the two. The Asamis maybe are a hair longer, but not by much. And then obviously it says boxer, deal the knockout blow, but just the overall profile and thickness of the glove. Asami says they use like a triple sponge foam over the knuckles, and I would assume it's very similar to winning. And I'll give you guys my comments because I've used these gloves in training on how they feel. But again, you can see very similar in height and just overall size profile. The liner on the inside of the Asamis, very similar to the winning. A little colorblind. It's kind of like, I want to say it's a really dark navy blue, but it's probably black. But you do have that polyester satin liner. You have about 1 inch of foam padding. The winnings is definitely more of a dark navy blue. You also have that 8-ounce winning tag. made in Japan. I'd say it's about 3/4 of an inch of padding, so it's a little bit less and softer than the Asami. The inside wrist has about maybe 1/2 inch of medium density foam, and it's about the same on the Asami. So the inner wrist padding is pretty much identical. The back of the wrist is a little bit thicker on the Asami. I showed you guys the white piping. You'll notice that the stitch pattern is definitely different. You can see the 2 stitches on the side for the winning right there, how it comes down on both sides of the piping, where this is much closer. You also notice one of the big ones is going to be the palm opening where the piping rounds out on the winnings, where the Asami's is closer and it just has a really close narrow turn. And you'll notice that it's much further, the space between the top of the piping and the lower portion of the grip bar is much further. Where the winnings, it's right close. I mean, it's right there next to the grip bar. Winnings will also have their weight printed on the grip bar with stitching above and below with a really nice firm grip bar. Asami, same thing, really firm grip bar. Feels like almost like a rubber, rubber tube, like a small rubber garden hose. Stitching on here looks awesome as well. Leather looks great. You do have a nylon attached thumb. I'm not a fan of that, but it's there. And winning uses leather, which is black as well. So that's another key indicator of an authentic winning glove is some of these newer ones have that black thumb attachment, but theirs is leather, where Asami is like this nylon piece, which I'm not a fan of. I'm not sure why they just didn't go with leather there. But you can see just how similar the gloves look to each other, both in terms of the shape, the size, the width. The Asami also has slightly deeper finger compartment. It's not as shallow as the winnings. So you'll see, and it's a little bit wider too. And I'll comment on that here in a second once I put the gloves on, but you can see how they look next to each other. Cost-wise, the Asamis retail on the Choke Sports website for $259. Winnings on the Winning USA, I believe the MS200s start at $300. Obviously, as you go up in size, they cost more. But that's a very loose term when it comes to pricing, because there's so many different retailers that sell winnings and different websites. Obviously, I'm not, I would be wary of the fake counterfeit items, but they've gone up in price. Winning is one of those companies and that brand of gloves that the price can vary quite a bit. But if we're just talking about standard manufactured retail pricing, I believe the MS200 start at $300. So there's about a $40 difference between these two gloves. So I'm gonna go ahead and slip these on so you guys can see how these gloves look, and I'll tell you guys how they feel. Okay guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and slip both gloves on and let you guys see how they look when I had them on. Both being 8 ounces, this is as small as you can go when it comes to both Winning and Asami. One thing to mention is that the Asami Pro Boxing gloves only come in 8 and 10 ounces. They also do make this size in Velcro, but they don't make this particular model any larger than 10 ounces. So it's essentially a pro fight sized glove, if you want to call it. So something just worth mentioning. Both gloves you can get in multiple colorways. The Asami comes in your standard, I believe, blue, red, black, and white. And so do the Winnings. And of course, Winning does have a lot of customs as well when it comes to different colorways. Now, in terms of size, both are a very compact glove. You can see how they look on my hands, and just kind of rotate it around and give you guys an impression on how they look. Very compact glove. Both gloves are pretty well broken in when you first get them. You can open and close your hand with relative ease to be able to catch shots. One thing I notice is that my first initial thought is the thumb on the Asami glove is definitely a little bit deeper and a little bit more accommodating for a longer thumb compared to the Winning. The Winning feels a little bit more shallow, and I feel like I can feel kind of the tip of my thumb touching at the very end compared to the Asami 8 ounce glove. So I feel that the Asami, when it comes to thumb, I prefer the thumb on the Asami. The other thing is the Asami, because the piping is lower and lower down from the grip bar, I feel that someone that has a thicker thumb base, the opening on the thumb is more accommodating than Winning. I feel like Winning has a little bit of a closer thumb, especially where the piping is located, and it has a little bit more of a pinch point compared to the Asami. So just an overall thumb structure, I feel that the Asami is more comfortable than the winning when it comes to both just the depth and the entry to the thumb opening. The actual position, I think, is great on both, but I would have to give the edge to the Asami on being a little bit more comfortable with the thumb. Both have a really smooth kind of polyester nylon liner on the inside. I do feel that the Asami has a little bit more of a thicker, kind of, I wouldn't say canvas, it's almost like a micro canvas type material, where the winning is a little bit that standard polyester, kind of like a smoother satin liner, where the Asami has a little bit more of a rugged feel on the inside, but both are very comfortable. Wrist support, pretty much the same. You know, the winnings are a fight glove, and these are, again, an 8-ounce fight glove as well, training glove. You know, when it comes to these type of gloves, wrist support, it's not really a huge emphasis, because oftentimes your hands are wrapped up, they're taped up, and then they tape the gloves off too. So, you know, this is not meant for that. This is not one of those gloves that are meant for solely for bag work, where you have to put a huge emphasis just on wrist support. So that's just something to keep in mind. Both grip bars feel really good on the gloves. The finger compartment, I definitely feel the Asami is not only a little bit wider, but deeper, and I prefer that as well. I feel like the winning, my pinky, is a little crowded in the finger compartment compared to the Asami. It's a little bit wider and a little bit more forgiving in that regard. You also have, both has kind of like a secondary grip bar on the seam right here that you can't see on the inside. The Asami has it as well, but you can definitely see that the Asami, it's just easier to kind of like put your hand into a natural fist position with your hand on the inside. It takes less effort, if that makes sense. And the winning is not hard at all as well. But if I'm, you know, I guess comparing the two and really pulling straws between the two, I would say that the Asami is a little bit easier to close your hand compared to the winnings. And obviously over time, the more you soften it up, it'll open and close. But I just think the shallowness of the winning compared to the Asami, I prefer the Asami in terms of the depth of the finger compartment. But overall, both gloves are very comfortable in terms of the hand compartment, but I do give the edge to the Asami gloves. Now, winnings in terms of padding are known. I'm gonna go ahead and slip the Asami glove off. A lot of people will call them pillows. Winnings has kind of their own proprietary layered foam padding system. It's pretty much a perfectly balanced type of foam that they use in here, of open and closed cell foams on the inside, to really give you a good blend of pop feedback. You get that nice flat punch surface, but you also get a good amount of shock absorption as well. And that's why this glove is so popular with a lot of pro fighters and just people that do boxing in general, is because of that type of padding. And it's essentially a universal glove. You can use it for everything in the gym. That's why you see them, you know, boxers use it for the bag work. You see them use these in sparring. Oftentimes they prefer this as a sparring glove just because of that balance of padding. And I feel like it's right there in the middle. You know, it's not too stiff. It's not a hard padding. It's not too soft. It's not like a puncher's glove where your knuckles just pierce right through the padding. It's a perfect balance with the winning, and you get a good amount of feedback. A lot of pros like using the smaller compact fight gloves when they're doing mitt work. I'm sure you've seen many of Pacquiao's videos where he's doing a lot of mitt work with Freddie Roach, and he's using these fight glove size winning gloves. And this is one of those really popular gloves with a lot of pro fighters. So a really good balanced type of foam padding. With the Asamis, very similar. They use what they describe on the website as a 3-layer sponge foam. And very similar. I mean, it's right in the middle. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they used almost identical, if not the same type of foam padding. And you can see again, feels really good. You feel like you land on those two front knuckles. It doesn't feel like a puncher's glove where it's too soft and you feel like you can do some damage to your knuckles, or if you have any kind of pre-existing injury or pain there. But it feels really good, and you get a good level of protection, but a good amount of feedback as well. So again, very similar to winning. And you know, oftentimes I think a lot of the gloves that are made in the same region, whether it's Japan or Mexico, they share a lot of their own trade secrets, right? It's just kind of a regional thing. And I even in Mexico, when you have, manufacturers like New Sporting, and then you have Bayonetta, who, has a lot of gloves made there as well. There's so many different brands and family members, cousins, everyone that's kind of related to each other, and they all kind of intermingle and share each other's trade secrets with making gloves. I feel like that might be the case with the Asamis. I mean, obviously I can't say that for sure. I'm not there watching them make the gloves, but I feel like there's a lot of similarities here that is just not by coincidence, right? I think a lot of these are probably shared secrets or shared, design things that they want to share with each other. But I definitely feel like the foam, maybe they share the same distributor of foam and they use the same foam or whatnot. But there are some, small differences. I definitely prefer the Asamis. I know that's kind of crazy to say that. A lot of people are like, oh, you don't like the Winnings more? I mean, the Winnings are great, don't get me wrong. But up until I got these, I would say that these are actually a little bit better, in my opinion, for my hand. I mean, I feel like these, have the same level of performance as the Winnings. I'd say the big drawback is like the little stuff like that where they use the nylon for the attached thumb instead of real leather. I'm not a fan of that at all. I feel like if you're going to spend, make this glove and make it a premium glove, use leather on that. Don't just use nylon. But everything else about the glove I really like a lot, especially at the price point of $259. And then obviously Winnings, I mean, who knows what you're going to have to pay for these in the future. There's, so many different people that get these or retailers, and they mark them up crazy, $300, $400, $500, $600. So, at $259, I definitely think for me, if I were to choose between the two, I would go with the Asamis. Now there is a wait time when you order these gloves. They're not just sitting on a shelf somewhere waiting to be shipped out. I believe that these gloves are made to order. So do keep in mind that there is going to be a little bit of a delay and a wait time when you order them. But if you're looking for an 8 to 10 ounce boxing glove or fight glove that's very similar to Winning, if not better, in my opinion, these would be the ones. And I know a lot of you guys have asked about this particular model, and I've been interested in it as well. That's why I pulled the trigger and got these. But definitely at $259 for a Japanese made glove made of leather. It's very similar to Winning. I would say that these are essentially the cousin to the MS200 and MS300 Winning boxing gloves, which would be their 8 and 10 ounce gloves. And to be honest with you, I think they're a little bit more comfortable and perform just as nicely as the Winnings, in my opinion. So if you guys have any questions or comments, as usual, put them down below. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find the Asami Pro Boxing gloves. I would put the link to the Winning USA website, although there's other websites out there where you can get these gloves. It just depends. But I will put just the official Winning USA website for these gloves. But overall, a big fan of these Asamis. Quite frankly, they surprise me in terms of the performance and how well they're built, especially compared to Winnings, which have pretty much been the benchmark for forever now. So if you guys have any questions, you guys know what to do. I'll see you guys later. Peace.